the backstory for me finding Malus, it was a bit fortuitous. San Diego, I was in San Diego. I graduated from UCSD and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And San Diego is a bit of a humanities desert. And so I knew that SDSU had the best English department in San Diego. But I was also interested in history, and I was also interested in the Middle East. And also in philosophy. So what I really wanted to do was something interdisciplinary, and I didn't know that word at the time, but there's certainly a place for interdisciplinary studies in contemporary universities. My campus is making efforts in various ways at doing this. We've recently become a polytechnic university, so we're focusing on STEM, but we have a leadership studies program. We have an applied English degree, where we have these various sort of efforts. People are having trouble coordinating, but the university knows that there's a good place for this, especially as people were just talking about being science informed. So I wanted, excellence in the humanities, but I also wanted to be science informed. And so, for me, things that are interesting are interdisciplinary, and there's also this emphasis on problem solving, right? So talking about issues of child abuse, for example, these are huge interdisciplinary issues that need to be approached from multiple disciplines, right? And so I know now in religious studies, there's a theorist, Jonathan Z. Smith, who argued that what we really do in the social sciences is comparison, right? And so, for example, monsters theory, which came up, it's interdisciplinary by its nature, but it can be used to explore various problems or issues. Or artificial intelligence was mentioned as well, right? Which we need help with ethics, for example. I think that the San Francisco Board of Supervisors voted for weaponized drones, militarized police drones. It was in the news, and then a week later, after public outcry, they voted again not to do that. So there's certainly a lot of room for an informed and educated public. I wanted to bring together two things: continental philosophy and Islamic studies. And at the time, there wasn't a way for me to do that. It was sort of cutting edge and maybe 10 years ahead. So. And now my work, pardon me, I should mute the. That's when you're on radio and you hit the cough button. So right now, my work focuses on culture, ethics, and politics. So I wrote an article on mosque architecture, which is probably my most cited publication, even though I'm not an art historian. And then since then, I focus on Islam and politics, religion and politics, and now also I'm writing on religion and education. So the issue of citizenship education and how European countries are dealing with the refugee crisis, for example. And so these are, there really is a space, and I wish there were more spaces for interdisciplinary work. And the last thing I'll say is, I was sort of alluding to it. I didn't know this at the time when I was a student, but it takes a lot of background work by faculty to organize these kinds of programs. And I'm so glad that Bill mentioned that when I was there, they were trying to recruit him in, and he was helping, but it seemed sort of a natural fit when he took the leadership position, because his work was so naturally interdisciplinary, doing comparative literature, so doing English, but also interested in theory and philosophy, and then also interested in race and gender and sexuality. So a real kind of interdisciplinary scholar, and I'm so glad that he's leading that program. But I didn't realize at the time how hard it is to get faculty to collaborate, because we had a dean of sciences, for example, who was very invested in teaching. He taught a class on creation and evolution that I still use in my teaching today. And it's not, you don't always have a dean of science who cares about the humanities, right? Or who cares about science literacy outside a narrow specialization in chemistry or physics or biology. And then also the English faculty were not afraid, right? So I remember, for example, Bill inviting philosophers to come in as guest lecturers. There was a lot of behind the scenes work that I realize now, it's harder than you think to get professors to volunteer to work well and collaborate. For example, taking on extra master's theses, right? For sometimes marginal or no pay. And it really takes a spirit of collegiality. And I feel really lucky that that was at San Diego State at that time when I was there. And I wish I knew more about how to cultivate it at my campus. So thank you very much.